All right, all right, all right. Yeah, so let me switch over and I'll still work on some stuff while I talk to you guys. What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Marie Shadows of the Square Circle podcast. We're going to be doing a live podcast episode, just talking about everything that's been happening in wrestling and the fact that AEW has been making matches and like all morning long. Tony Khan has definitely been just dropping these random matches, and I'm like, I don't understand. Why are they here? Why do we have random matches? Like, it makes no sense. Then again, I do want to thank everybody here for tuning in on twitch.tv/Marie_shadows. If you guys are listening to this on the audio version, you guys will be able to hear it on anchor.fm/Square Circle Podcast. From there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcasts from. So, yeah. Originally, I wanted to probably start off with the AEW releases, which is just, I guess, one. I don't know if there's any other, but so far it has definitely just been Marco Stunt that has decided to like not renew his contract. We all saw this coming. We all knew that eventually this was going to happen, and essentially you will call it a release. If you do not want to resign and you want to go elsewhere, you basically got released from the company. Like, they let you go. You decided to go, no matter how you want to try to phrase it. I know there's people on Twitter that are just like, oh, there's a difference between getting released and not renew your contract. Technically, you're still sort of released because, you go out into the world and you do whatever you want to do. You're no longer working there. It's the same way, like, if you want to think about it as like a regular 9 to 5 job, when you don't want to stay for like, another year or whatever, and you're like, hey, my contract is about up, I want to go elsewhere. Technically, they're like, all right, we'll grant you your release to go somewhere. I mean, you could think of it like that with Marco Stunt, that like, he didn't want to basically stay, so he went. I think the words can be sort of interchangeable depending on how you use it, but if we're gonna give WWE all this shit about, hey, you released all these guys, you released them from their contract because you wanted, like, the rest of the money back. We should probably use it for AEW. AEW should not get a free pass. There's a lot of things that AEW gets as a free pass, and I'm like, it's not right to have AEW get a free pass and WWE basically doesn't get a free pass, and AEW is like the devil amongst devils in professional wrestling, and that's wrong. Yes, WWE does have its flaws, but that doesn't mean that another company can just get a free pass for certain things. So yeah, I mean, I don't have Marco Stunt up on the I guess the picture area, because I was gonna go get it, but as far as I know, to my knowledge, that's like the only one that decided to like not re-sign with the company, to not go. But apparently, like, AEW Talent Relations, which I found out is basically Christopher Daniels. And I remember when AEW started, basically like, I remember there was like talk about him being Talent Relations anyway, but then again, to like really hear it again and like, yeah, he is Talent Relations, Tony Khan just needs a team. I don't know how many times I could come on, live stream and definitely be like, hey, you need a team, you need a team, you need a team. If you were willing to get a team for the Jaguars, so that way you could spend less time analyzing numbers for a football team to focus on AEW, why can't you do the same thing in AEW? You'll be giving a lot more ordinary people like myself and others who don't want like a 9 to 5 job and, would love to work in professional wrestling. You will give them jobs. The same way that he hands out contracts like water is the same way that he could do so with ordinary people who aren't wrestlers and don't want to take bumps. because I quite frankly don't want to take bumps. I tried taking bumps. They did not go so well. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that I'm not very good at taking bumps. I can always try, I could always do it, but yeah, I'm not good at taking bumps. Other than that, like, I have nothing else to really say on the whole thing of Marco Stunt not re-signing or anything like that. But what I would like to say is that AEW fans do need to stop, and I've seen it slow down a lot, where basically people would be like, oh my god, this person is a game changer, that person is a game changer, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm here like, what makes this person a game changer? The only way that it makes them a game changer is if, like, they're really going to be put towards the forefront and really push stories, really push tickets, really push merchandise sales, and be at the forefront. Currently, right now, we have, the Undisputed Elite, which, if that doesn't tell you that they want to capitalize on something great that happened in NXT, that's very telling. Rather than making something completely new, they're going to continue to go with nostalgia and what made the Undisputed Era really great in NXT, take it over to AEW. And I see that as a red flag, because if you can't come up with something more interesting, more clever than your competition, rather than just bringing over some used goods, then, like, what's really the point of that? I don't have the picture for that. I could get the picture for that. I was going to jump into Dynamite, but we will be having a Undisputed Elite celebration, and it's very, very weird. It's like, I remember that they took the belts, they stole the belts, basically, from Adam Cole. Took Hangman's belt, and in that picture, it looks like Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly also took the tag team belts away from, I'm guessing they had to take it from Jurassic Express. But then again, it's like, why would you allow your baby faces to be undermined like that? Like, that's, like, to me, like a cartoonish type of shit, where it's hey, Aussie Lucian, welcome to the chat, welcome to the stream. But yeah, I would consider it sort of like, a cartoon episode where, I don't know why I want to say, like, Elmer Fudd would, like, take something that one of the other characters would be unsuspecting of it, to try to do this correlation of like, what am I looking for? So do this correlation of, like, the Undisputed Elite taking the belts away from the baby faces. You sort of make your baby faces look stupid if you do that. Which basically it happened. And again, it makes your baby faces look stupid, because it's like, at least have the baby faces be a little bit smarter. But like I said, I really think that we should not be having the Undisputed Elite. We should be having something fresh, something new, where, like, it makes sense, rather than trying to bring over used goods from WWE all the way to AEW. Because then this is why AEW gets the rep of it's WWE 2.0, it's NXT 2.0, it's just a bunch of WWE guys, because they're doing the same thing in order to keep ratings, and they're not doing anything new. Yes, you guys can definitely make the argument that there is the Four Pillars, there's young guys coming up, but who are we talking about in this situation more than anybody else? We're not talking about Jurassic Express. We barely talk about Darby unless he's with Sting and Sting is jumping off of high places and landing on tables. We talk about Sammy and Tay because they're fucking annoying. We talk about, but Sammy and Tay are like the exception. I sort of forget that who is the day one guys because all the WWE guys have come in and like overshadowed them with their star power. And that's technically not how you build, your foundation. Your foundation needs to stand because what happens if all the WWE guys decide to go their separate ways and decides to be like, hey, Tony, I had a very great time. So, I'm just going to go elsewhere, or they want to spend time with their family and they don't re-sign. What happens when all those WWE guys that got the forefront spotlight, when they leave, how is AEW going to recover? Like, that's the biggest thing. We saw it happen with, TNA when they got most of those ex-WWE, ex-WCW guys in there, and then like creative control was like all over the place. And it sort of almost died, and then it came back to life. Like, maybe that might be the path of AEW, but, with AEW digging their fingers into having Ring of Honor and partnering up with DDT and still having the partnership with New Japan and maybe a little bit of Impact. I don't know about that one, but it just seems like these are all big flexes and nothing really gets thought out. I say that Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor was definitely a fucking flex. There was nothing to that. He was just like, oh, let me just buy from my competition to show Vince that I could compete too and that I can buy stuff too. I honestly don't think WWE would have bought Ring of Honor. If anything, if they needed to, they might have just bought maybe certain stuff on like the library because of their guys were part of Ring of Honor. And if they ever wanted to make like a big story and like incorporate callbacks and incorporate like fresh ideas, then yeah, maybe they'll probably buy the library and that's about it. But I don't think like as a company, they were going to do it. If they did, obviously we'll be like, yo, that's fucking petty, guys. Like, you don't really need it. You have every other company there is in the world of professional wrestling, and then you want to get Ring of Honor. Like, you guys destroyed Evolve, which was really great for like, more wrestlers to go wrestle at. You destroyed a lot of other things along the way. But then again, I honestly don't think WWE was going to purchase Ring of Honor, so there was like no sense of urgency. But Tony Khan just wanting to flex. That's what you do. You flex. And then in the time span of him buying Ring of Honor, how come no journalist out there is questioning the fact where did he get that extra money? Because I'm still hold out to that report of AEW being in the red because most of the money went to the AEW game. And then now no one is really talking about where the money is coming from. Is the money being put back through merchandise sales, ticket sales, anything else that they're doing? Are they taking a percentage of when AEW goes live to play video games on the AEW Twitch channel that they have? Like, why is no journalist reporting where is the money coming from? So my only guess is that, he had to ask his dad in order to buy Ring of Honor. And, in that timely manner, because again, Ring of Honor wasn't really going anywhere. Ring of Honor still had one more show to like fulfill, which is April 1st, ROH Supercard of Honor. So basically like, I could understand if Ring of Honor was like, all right, after, Supercard, right? I'm saying if it wasn't going to be bought yet, I can understand that after Supercard, because they would have to fulfill that. If it went on the market and it was sort of like, being put up for bidding, then yeah, I could see like, a little bit sense of urgency. But because Ring of Honor was not being put up as a bid yet, because, the Sinclair broadcast could have probably just said, oh, thank you guys for your offers, but let's think about stuff. Let's wait until after, Super Card of Honor, and then we could decide on whatever we want to do. But because there was no urgency, like, I just question these things of like, why did he need to purchase it? Why? If he has AEW to worry about, why is he purchasing something else that's going to sort of hinder his ability to try and get like really good ratings for like both of them, or whatever the case may be? Like, I just have a lot of red flags, a lot of questions. Um, for this whole entire thing, I just want to know, like, what money is he getting back in return in order to like purchase this stuff? Because if you guys don't know, because a lot of people on Twitter are sort of like, this isn't wrestling news, so it shouldn't be covered. That Tony Khan's father basically pulled out his investments from the all black news channel that he was backing, and because of that, nobody has gotten paid yet. So the timing is completely freaking off, where Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. Tony Khan basically like has the matches already set for ROH Super Card of Honor, and then all of a sudden his dad can't pay the network he was sponsoring. It's all about like, why is these things happening? Tony Khan does feel like a kid in a candy store that just wants to grab everything and don't realize like certain consequences. Because you can't really just grab everything and think that because you're wealthy, good things will always happen. There's always a domino effect. There's always a downfall or something or anything like that. So, like, I just question these things, and I hope that you guys question it too, rather than just being like, oh my God, Tony Khan is spoiling us and stuff like that. People who say that Tony Khan is spoiling them based on the matches, like what you see on the screen for like AEW Dynamite, they have not been to a local show. So they don't understand that this doesn't work. This works for indie level wrestling shows where not many matches are going to lead to a story. If you are on national television and you basically are putting together indie matches like this and passing it off as like, oh, we're just going to do wrestling because that's what we do. Well, how is that going to keep your ratings? No matter what WWE does, they still maintain 1 million views. Whenever AEW does something, it fluctuates because he either overpromises and then sometimes it gets a good result, or underpromises and doesn't get a good result, or like it overpromises and like doesn't get a good result. So yeah, it's just a matter of like priorities and what you really want to do. But fans are always like, oh my God, this is such a great Dynamite episode, hyping up Dynamite, hyping up AEW more than it needs to be. And it's not for me to burst your bubble of fun. You could definitely have fun. We're not saying not to have fun, but we're saying to have some fucking common sense. We're saying to have your eyes open, your ears open to basically, look at how everything is being presented rather than like, just falling for everything and be like, oh my God, this is so great. This is so awesome. And it might just be because like I do this as something that I love and something that I want to turn into a full-time job. So it might be a little bit different, but like between me and you, but then again, you can still enjoy the product if it's done, right. Everyone is going to have an opinion. Everyone is going to have, thoughts or whatever. And that's totally cool. And again, if you guys don't agree with me, that's fine too. You're not supposed to agree with me 100%. You're supposed to also have your way of thinking by research and learning and understanding different aspects. But again, you're not obligated to like fully be like, you back me because you follow me or whatever. Like, you can always disagree with me. It's totally okay. I'm not telling you not to disagree with me, but at the same time, make sure that AEW can improve rather than just being complacent about things and think that you're getting spoiled by having wrestling matches that don't make sense. So for example, let's go over the AEW Dynamite card, where basically, again, these things do not make sense at all. I think maybe like one thing makes sense, and this may not be the full entire card, but it's something, it is something. So what I don't like is that Tony basically just reviewed all these matches the day of AEW Dynamite. Today is March 30th, 2022, right? So today is Wednesday. And it's like, okay, why are you telling us these matches now? I remember scrolling through Twitter and like somebody had mentioned that, oh, but if WWE did this, they'll get they'll get shitted on. But if Tony Khan releases like the matches the day of, it's totally okay. He get the pass. To which someone had replied to that saying that Vince literally changes the matches the day of. While yes, the dirt sheets do report that Vince McMahon changes the scripts every single chance he gets on the day of, but you don't see him posting it on social media, the day of. And then if he has to scramble to be like, hey, I gotta change a match or I gotta add a match, like there's a difference. There is a difference of how someone approaches something. So, I just think that sometimes we got to stop with this babying and stop with coddling AEW and like hold them to maybe, if not a little bit less of, standards that we hold WWE to. And I'm not sure if we want to get into the conversation of that Tony Khan is an Indian man. He's a brown man because he said it before, and then Vince is a white guy. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but sometimes it feels that way when we go on Twitter and look at the conversations, the debates and stuff like that, and sometimes people just don't understand that you could do the same thing for both, right? You could call out both for like stuff that's wrong, but for something like this where it's like Tony Khan just released the whole entire card of AEW Dynamite for tonight, it's the same thing as dirt sheets saying, oh, Vince changed the whole format for Monday Night Raw. The only difference is that Vince is bad, AEW is not. And the other difference is that, one does it on social media, the other one doesn't do it on social media. And so, like, it bothers me. It really, really, really bothers me. Okay, so let's go over this card. What is this? Let's go over this card. I need to see the card a little bit better. So give me a second here. Okay, so let me just make sure everyone in chat is good. Cool. Everyone in chat is awesome. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this and this is your first time watching it or first time hearing it, welcome to the Square Circle Podcast. I am Marie Shadows. For anyone that's watching this live, if you want to drop your thoughts in the chat, go ahead and do so. Totally fine. I have no problem with that. Just drop your thoughts if you ever want to. I'll read them out loud. I'll give you my opinion on them. So yeah. All right, so let's go over this card. So up in the left-hand side, I guess this is going to be really bad, but we're going to start with Jay Lethal versus Jon Moxley, which was announced for AEW Dynamite. Why? Why is this match announced for AEW Dynamite? What significance does this have? This puts Jay Lethal in a lose-lose situation where basically he's not really going to recover from this. Jon Moxley is on a warpath with Bryan Danielson and William Regal, and they have the Combat Club, it's not the Bare Knuckle Combat Club. It's basically like that part in England that I can't remember right now. But they got the freaking club. And all Jay Lethal has been doing is fighting on Dark and Dark Elevation right after losing to Sammy Guevara when he first came in, when he challenged him for the TNT Championship title. And it's like, he came in hot. People loved him. He lost to Sammy Guevara. And then all of a sudden he's on Dark Evolution, maybe on Rampage, maybe not on Rampage. And it makes no sense. Why does Jay Lethal have to be the guy that has to jog to Jon Moxley when in Tony Khan's post, he mentioned that Jay Lethal is a former Ring of Honor champion. And, if apparently Tony Khan has all this respect for like Ring of Honor guys and like former champions, why are you putting him in there that just sets him up for freaking, defeat? That sets him up for these losses. It makes no fucking sense. We all know that Jon Moxley is going to win in this match. There is no ifs, ands, or buts unless like Jay Lethal could do like a roll up or a schoolboy and use Jon Moxley's momentum and weight against him in order to win. But that's not going to happen. You guys know it's not going to happen. So Twitter, stop hyping it up. It's a very bad matchup and no one really wins. Jon Moxley's gonna have that as like a notch on his record. Like, what's that really gonna fucking do? It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna grant Moxley a championship title. It's not gonna grant Jay Lethal a championship title, so I don't understand why this is here. So Aussie said Tony Khan is, many words I'm uncomfortable typing, for what he's doing to Deonna Purrazzo. Oh my God, dude, we'll get there. We'll get there. And yes, okay, it's the Blackpool Combat Club. There we go. The Blackpool Combat Club. Oh my God, my freaking phone. I swear. I need to get a new phone. I really need to get a new phone. But yeah, like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't even know if, like, there was a setup before this. I don't really think it was a setup. So, it's just really weird to me that we have this all of a sudden and Jay Lethal is the fall guy. Jay, I understand that, you're getting, maybe a decent check from Tony Khan, but like, value yourself. This isn't valuing yourself if you want to face Jon Moxley. Sure, on paper, it looks like a dream match, and that's great. But why should I care about this match? What in this match should I care about in order to be like, oh my God, I want to see it? I don't want to see it because I know Jay Lethal is going to lose. I don't want to see it because Jay Lethal was put in a really bad position, and we've been really, when I say we, myself and like, the black creators on Twitter who have their own wrestling podcasts and like scream from the top of their lungs to have like equity in this business and have like equal opportunities. And we know for a fact that Jay Lethal is gonna freaking lose. Which, by the way, I'm not saying that they should automatically put the belt on Jay Lethal. I'm just saying that you build Jay Lethal up to where like it makes sense for him to eventually fight Moxley. Moxley is a really huge superstar because he has that credibility behind him. You don't just throw Jay Lethal that has to get his bearing and footing in AEW, and AEW Dark and Evolution are not beneficial for that, in my opinion. But, if Jay Lethal had this really nice, steady line of like doing feuds here and there, even if like there's short-term feuds with other people, that eventually led up to Jon Moxley, because he knew that like Jon Moxley is the top dog in AEW and like the guy you have to beat to prove yourself of like why you're there. That makes more sense. He's having matches that build up to an eventual Jon Moxley versus Jay Lethal that will make sense, rather than like just throwing it together. Like, why does it need to be thrown together? Sometimes what happened? I don't know if it's showing on your end, but comments aren't showing up on your stream. Oh. But yeah, thanks for that, solution. I will fix that while I talk to you guys, because I can multitask. I can definitely multitask. But yeah, I just don't hold on. Okay, that's the part. Okay. I just don't understand. Okay, so I was getting to the part about it's okay to have cold matches sometimes. And we will call them filler matches. Jay Lethal versus Jon Moxley should not be a filler match. Jay Lethal versus Jon Moxley is definitely a filler cold match, and that's not cool to have. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. All right. So, the next match that I want to go over, if I could find it while I'm like multitasking and everything, we're just gonna go straight to the other side, where it's Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo. Again, why? By the way, I am so over Darby. And my main reason is that I am way too concerned for his life. And he's not concerned for his life, and everyone puts him on this big pedestal, like they put Jeff Hardy on their big pedestal. But the problem I have is that because he doesn't take his life seriously, I don't want to be attached to him. And then when something really does, well, not does, but when anything happens, I don't want to be emotionally attached and really feel bad about it. So I am just so over Darby Allin and his way of, getting the crowd behind him, basically doing death-defying stunts and tricks just to, I guess, feel alive or feel like having an adrenaline rush. Like I said this before, freaking Darby needs to learn how to forgive himself for the past, because it has been brought up about how like his uncle took him while his uncle was drunk, and then all of a sudden had a car crash, his uncle dies, and he lives. And it's like, dude, I totally understand that. I really do. And you thought that maybe it could have been you, but like, forgive yourself and start living the life that you want, and start um, basically like enjoying what life has to give you rather than like moping around and shit and like doing death defying things and doing these very risky suicide dives where like you could get a concussion, you could get brain hemorrhage, and like when you're hitting the barricade and shit. Like I am just so done with with like Darby. I don't really care what he does. I don't care if it's in a feud or whatever. It's one thing back in the day for Cody Rhodes to freaking expose his finisher, which I hated. And you guys can go back in the archives, anchor.fm/Square podcast, and just hear me rant about it. Like, how dare Cody fucking destroy his finisher? So I don't really care about Darby like that. And while I'm trying to talk to you guys, I'm trying to see if I can fix. There we go. Fix something here. Can I not fix the color? But yeah, if anyone that is watching right now, if you guys have any questions, any comments, you guys can, drop them in while I do this. There was no way of fixing this, huh? Why? Why is there no way of fixing this? All right, so I guess I'm gonna have to redo this and do it on my own, but I'm not gonna do it right now. That is so interesting. All right, but I do want to thank Aussie Lucian for bringing that to my attention, where you guys are not seeing the chat flow on the video. So yeah, Aussie Lucian, thanks for that. But I'll have to fix it later on. So yeah, getting back to the whole thing of Darby versus Andrade. Andrade's another one that's just hanging around there, and it's like, you're cool, dude. You can wrestle. You're great, but other than that, like, what are you really doing? You took over Matt Hardy's freaking huge ass bullshit of a team. To do what now? To have your own team that don't make sense? Like, I don't get it. I really don't understand. And then people hype this shit up and they're like, AEW is the best thing. And it's like, is it really? What story are you trying to tell with Darby and Andrade? Why is Andrade going after Darby when Darby doesn't fit his group? Darby doesn't fit basically like any other group other than himself and Sting. But yeah, I just don't get certain things, man. I really don't. Yeah, Aussie Lucian. Yeah, Lee was telling me that you guys gave me credit for my idea for what you guys were doing. Which is cool. Which is cool. Which is cool. I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate you and Lee. Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, now that bothers me. I'm gonna have to really after I'm done with this whole thing, go back inside and really put my own chat box. Because I really want people to see it, but it's okay. I'll read them out anyway. So yeah, that's all I have to like really say about Darby versus Andrade. It's another like, why? Why is this happening? And then sometimes when I tweet out stuff on Twitter and include the AEW faithful, nobody wants to fucking give me an answer. They want to stay in their bubble rather than realizing reality of this. And they want to stay in their bubble. And it's like I said earlier, you guys can have all the fun you want, but make it make sense, please. Make it make sense. All right. So we're going right down from the one on the top to talk about Wheeler Yuta versus Bryan Danielson. This one, I understand why we're getting it. That's because of should have been last week where Wheeler Yuta. No, I'm sorry, where Papa Regal, William Regal, slapped Wheeler Yuta. So this makes sense. And Wheeler is getting his reps in, and he's being a very good trainee. That might not be the word I'm looking for. It might be, but he's being a very good, trainee to get to the next level and get to the next spot. I honestly don't have anything bad to say about this. This makes sense. Okay, it's like 30% makes sense. Okay, but other than that, like I'm just leaving it as is. Next, over to that one, we have FTR versus the Gun Club. Man, what can I really say about this, right? Like, I honestly used to love FTR, but the way that Dax runs his fucking mouth on Twitter, it's like one of those things of like, the New Yorker in me comes out because I'm just like, bro, you sound like you're talking shit most of the time. And it's annoying because it's like, I understand that using social media to your advantage can help bring in eyes, can help bring in conversations, can help sell tickets, can make fantasy matches. I totally understand the power of social media. I really do. But sometimes, you don't really have to respond to like everybody if you automatically think that they're beneath you. Like, what's the point of that? Why you want to rub it in if you already think that they're beneath you? Let them speak into the void and eventually you'll get to them. But some of the shit that like Dax would be saying, I'm just like, I just can't anymore. I just really can't. I enjoyed them when they came in. They feuded with the Young Bucks. They basically tortured Adam Page. I was about to say Adam Cole for a little bit, but like no, that didn't happen. They tortured Hangman for a little bit, but other than that, like ever since Cash got injured, and yet again, AEW didn't put any more safety measures after that. I don't think so. If they did, please correct me. After that, it just went downhill. I just lost interest. FTR joined the Pinnacle. Like, why the fuck did that happen? Why the fuck did we get the Pinnacle in the first place? All right, so I'm probably gonna get heat for this or whatever, but Aussie, we don't talk about SRS on my show at all. I have him blocked. We had a little thing. We had a disagreement going on, and he is banned from me talking about him or even mentioning him or giving him any type of credit or whatever, and that goes for Fightful too. So yeah, I do not talk about SRS and I don't talk about GCW unless like I want to point something out. So I'm just letting you know about that. Yeah. So I just want to say that's the New Yorker that comes out of me. Like we don't talk about him here. So I would never give you my my thoughts on that. But yeah, back to the whole thing of FTR. Yeah, man, like I used to love them. But now I'm just like, you guys are just yeah, and Aussie, don't feel bad. Cause I know you don't know, but I keep the situation of what happened between me and him sort of to myself. Only like a certain amount of people know about it, and that's about it. So I keep it to myself, just because I have better things to do, and my goal is obviously, I mean, you know this. My goal is to get signed by a wrestling company, and I have no time for high school drama. If I'm losing time with, not creating the things I want to get seen. Again, it's not your fault, so don't feel bad that you didn't know that part. It's all good. I just have time for me and time to make my dreams come true. But yeah, getting back to this match. Like I said, I used to like FTR. FTR was good. FTR was awesome. But then all of a sudden, yeah, I did Aussie Lucian. I did. I mentioned it there. So yeah. Now, talking about the Gun Club. Man, the Gun Club had so much momentum and potential, and now they're starting to gain it back, but I just lost interest in them. I still enjoy the album that oh my god. Why am I drawing a blank now? Austin Gunn. I still enjoy Austin's Gunn, his CD album, his album. I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it still, but I don't know, man. I want to get back into cheering for the Gun Club and basically like being a fan again, but like I don't know, man. There's something missing. There's just something missing for me, like a connection. Again, like I don't really care about this. I don't know why it's happening. And by the way, I heard last week that Dax lost to CM Punk. Man, fuck Punk. Dax has more wrestling ability in his pinky than fucking Punk does. To the point where Dax is actually innovative in his fucking wrestling skill and wrestling style other than CM Punk. What did CM Punk do? Steal all his moves from Kenta. Even stole, the Anaconda Vice. He stole that from Tenzan in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So again, guys, it's really upsetting that Dax had to lose to CM Punk. Why? Why did he have to lose to CM Punk? But yeah, FTR versus Gun Club, I don't understand why it's happening. I don't know why. I wish Gun Club all the best, wrestling wise and stuff like that. Also with FTR. I don't know if I'm excited for FTR versus the Briscoes. Like, I love the Briscoes. The Briscoes are cool. But I don't know if I'm excited for it. I do know that, the Briscoes are going to be the Briscoes. That's going to be that. It's the same way when I said earlier that the New Yorker is going to come out of me, like, I guess the Delaware boy, like the Delaware side of, the Briscoes are going to come out on them too. So yeah, it's just one of those things of like, there needs to be some type of synergy or energy. I don't really use synergy a lot, so hopefully I used it correctly. There just needs to be some type of balance with all this. And speaking of CM Punk, again, fuck Punk. I'm not afraid to fucking say it. Just like yesterday, if you guys are watching, if you're not already following Smack Raw Pod, which is on here on Twitch, then you guys are definitely missing out on some really good content. So yesterday, Smack Raw Pod had their famous UWO, which is unpopular wrestling opinions, and that was a blast from start to finish. I miss being on that show, by the way, but eventually I'll be on the show. Yeah, there was just one part where the host, Kyle, put up a tweet from Punk, and Punk, talking about like, wrestlers court and shit like that, and how he didn't like it and whatever. And it's like, and then afterwards it's discussed, Kyle didn't want any heat. So I told him that, like, he shouldn't be afraid of Punk. He should be afraid of Will Smith. Because at least Will Smith will get out of his chair and go slap your ass. Punk ain't gonna do that shit. Punk is gonna go find a corner and duck you. And the only reason why I say that is because Kenta has called out CM Punk multiple times. Ospreay has called out CM Punk multiple times. The bigger your name is, the more CM Punk cowers away from you. So, it's okay. I could take the heat. It's totally fine. Nobody knows exactly who I am. So if they want to throw some idiotic baby kindergarten shit, that's fine. I'm okay with taking the heat. Like it's okay. You guys don't know me. You just know what Marie Shadows is and like how she talks and basically what she thinks. But other than that, you don't know anything else behind the character. And yeah, basically, yeah. There goes my confidence, and there goes my like New Yorker side. That was a little tamed for the New Yorker side. But yeah, we have CM Punk versus Max Caster. I did see somewhere on Twitter that they're hoping for Max Caster to basically say a Will Smith line. Most likely Max Caster is going to say a Will Smith line, but again, why does this need to happen? Why? Is it because you want to put, two of the best talkers, at each other like right now? And then again, who are you going to pick? Obviously, CM Punk is going to go over. And again, we have that same booking style of if you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, Max Caster is obviously going to lose. If he gets a win over Punk, we're celebrating, right? Like, I would not think that Max is going to get a win over Punk unless, again, he does a roll-up or a schoolboy and basically use Punk's body weight, which is like a twig, against him, So yeah, this again puts Max Caster in a very bad position because we all know that CM Punk doesn't fucking like to lose, except it's like for MJF to sort of elevate him. But other than that, CM Punk doesn't like to lose in his whole entire AEW career. He's doing everything that he wanted to do that WWE was not allowing him to do. So it's like, again, what's the point? If CM Punk, apparently according to Twitter, wants to tell this story of he's been out of the game for 7 years. So that means he's completely rusty, he's completely old, and obviously he's getting up there in age. You would think that along the way of his obstacles, depending on who he's fighting, that he should be losing and winning so it could be a balance. But no, he basically clean swept everybody. And nobody asked for a rematch except for MJF. Again, I said this before on my other podcast episodes. Why does MJF get the ability to ask for a rematch, but Hobbs never asked for a rematch? Hook never asked for a rematch because I think they fought, right? Like, you get it. The people that CM Punk fought and beat, why are they not asking for rematches? Why is MJF the only one asking for a rematch during that whole entire story that CM Punk is trying to tell? So it's not fair to wrestlers that are up and coming. And I totally get it sometimes that veterans shouldn't always do the job for the younger guys. But then again, the veterans should stay in maybe a 3-month, 6 months at best storyline where they're chasing each other and they're trying to one-up each other, because the young guys in the business for this generation should at least prove to the fans, to the older generation, that wrestling is going to be in good hands. In kayfabe. In kayfabe. Do not attack my head about that last line. In kayfabe, wrestling should be in good hands. If it's not in good hands, then, you know, wrestling is wrestling. You can't really do much about it, you know, in a sense. But yeah, again, we all know that Max Caster is going to lose. And then what? We're going to see Max Caster take bookings everywhere and, you know, just wrestle like that. Like, man, it bothers the hell out of me, this AEW booking, and people just take it as like, this is going to be fun. Well, did you ever think that sometimes the wrestlers end up not benefiting as well as you think they do? You know, eventually when more people get released from AEW, more stories are going to come out about like the creative process and anything else that happened in the back. And then eventually, when are we going to apologize to Swole? That's what I want to know. When more stories come out about the AEW booking and the AEW creativity and what you could do, what you can't do, you know, are we ever going to apologize to Swole about it? That is what I want to know. So let's get to the one women's match that is on here, and it's a women's tournament qualifier, right? I think the date is still there where this Owen Hart's tournament is probably going to be ending up all the way in May for Double or Nothing. Oh, wow. Okay, so today is March 30th. It's close to the ending of March. So we have April, that's one. We have May. We have 2 months. 2 months to build up excitement around the Owen Hart tournament. And, like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. First of all, let me get this out of the way. The bunny, I don't know why she's wrestling. I am not a fan of the bunny. I don't think that she puts on really memorable, good matches. Everything in the ring, in ring wise, is so basic, and it looks like she's afraid to do things. It's really not top notch, and she's been wrestling for like a really long time. I think they said like 10 years. It might be like 11 now. But again, nothing has really evolved to make her the best top tier female wrestler where we get to talk about her. I really just don't see it. I really don't. She has a cute face, and that's probably like still keeping her around. But other than that, her wrestling ability has not been taken to the next level where we're like, yeah, we want to see the bunny. And again, this puts her in a precarious position because it's the bunny versus an unknown woman competitor that makes her debut. And so, like, I don't know who it could be. Everyone wants Athena, who's Ember Moon. Everybody wants Toni Storm. Everybody wants Tegan Knox. Like, you know, building the AEW women's division is tricky. It's tricky because if the women are not getting ample amount of time, the same way that the men are getting ample amount of time, then what's the point of having a women's roster when it comes to AEW Dynamite? Like, I don't understand. They get away with more women matches at a 10 o'clock spot than they do at, like, I don't know, will we consider this prime time? I don't think that's considered prime time. But you get the idea. We're able to get away with more women matches on Rampage than we are on Dynamite. And that says a lot. And again, AEW fans are not fighting for this. in the beginning, we fought for this. We fought for having more women on TV, having more than one women's match. And then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, we're going back to a one woman formula for a qualifier match when we could be taking out Jay Lethal versus John Moxley. We don't fucking need that match. CM Punk versus Max Caster. We don't need that match. So you have two open spaces, along with the stupid celebration of the Undisputed Era. We're gonna call them Undisputed Era. We're not gonna call them Undisputed Elite. That's fucking stupid. So you could take out John Moxley versus Jay Lethal and CM Punk versus Max Caster and put in like two more women's matches, because you know the women need more time to develop their stories other than saying the word bitch to each other. Like, saying the word bitch to each other is not how you make a story. So, you know, it's so fucking ridiculous that women who want to tell their story can't tell their story in AEW. I think the only safe bet is like Britt could be able to tell her story. Swole was able to tell her story. Hikaru Shida was able to tell her story. Riho, to an extent, I could say could tell her story. But again, because Riho is so tiny and so light, I just can't take her seriously sometimes. Chris Statlander can definitely tell her story. And everyone else too, but if they're not getting ample amount of time on television where it matters, YouTube don't matter. You want to know why YouTube don't matter? Because that's video on demand, and people are not going to be watching wrestling 24/7 like you think they are. That's what I really hate, that wrestling Twitter is such a bubble that everyone thinks that everyone watches the same thing that they watch. And no, that's not true. If I watched everything, I would never have time to do a podcast episode. I would never have time to collaborate with my friends. I would never have time to give you different content, or even trying to go out to local shows to do vlogs and showcase the indie talent and showcase, you know, what I do behind the scenes and stuff like that, if I decided to continue to do it. In the beginning, I used to watch Dark, Dynamite, because that those are the two that were on. But now that it has grown pretty fast, you know, I'm not going to be able to watch everything. But getting back to the women's thing of that, you know, why do we only have one qualifier match? Why can't we do two qualifier matches? Why can't we do other random women matches to start telling stories? As for who's going to be the Bunny's opponent, I don't know. I don't have any good idea who's gonna debut today, because, like, again, when that person debuts, are they going to be a top tier name? Are they going to be a indie person? You know what would have been nice? Have the Bunny face somebody that's already on the roster. Tony Khan already signed AQA, so why not have them fight? Why not have them battle and have AQA go over? You know, like, I would love to have that happen. You know, but no, we're stuck with this bullshit of the Bunny versus someone to debut. You know what would be fresh? If we had two women who signed and two women who are debuting at this tournament, and let's say that maybe they're like handpicked by Martha Hart. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there of, like, you know, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. It's just one of those things of, like, AEW needs to stop putting their wrestlers in compromising positions. At least with, like, WWE, yeah, wrestlers get to be in compromising positions, but that's why they utilize the freaking rematch on the next night, because WWE needs to think outside the box when they do these compromising positions, because even though it's going to get old and shit, you know, the rematch, the guy could be like, oh, you know, I wasn't ready that night, or you got the one up on me, or you cheated somehow. and the referee never saw it and blah, 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 you know, all that kind of stuff. They can utilize that. But again, I don't know, you AEW, because it is young, I don't think it should have been putting their wrestlers in compromising positions like this, where you know the predictable route of where these matches are going to go, and you know there's no fucking payoff. There's definitely no payoff between Jay Lethal and Jon Moxley, because none of those guys have anything that's needed from each other. There's nothing at stake in that match. You can't even do a hair versus hair match. And I'm just joking. Wheeler Yuta and Bryan Danielson, at least there's something there, because Regal slapped Wheeler, and now Wheeler has to prove himself to Danielson, and if Danielson likes the performance, most likely he's going to be in the club. Understandable. 30% good job. CM Punk versus Max Caster. We don't fucking need it. We don't. Give Max Caster something else to do other than like rap battling. Like, you know, put him against Austin Gunn, but then Austin Gunn is going to kill him on the mic, because Austin Gunn is a way more talented performer as a rapper and also as a wrestler than Max Caster. You know, let's see. Darby versus Andrade. When are they going to drop that? When are they going to give Darby some time off? And give Sting some time off and try to come back and reset everything. Like, you know, at this point, it's like, why? FTR, I have nothing else to say. But I believe this is like the card I mentioned earlier about the United, not the United. I mentioned earlier about the Undisputed Elite, which is really stupid. Again, you know, there's a reason why people on Twitter will say that AEW just has WWE guys. Because again, what are we talking about? I like the idea of WWE guys, when they get released, to have maybe like 6 months off. Take a fucking vacation where you don't have to like book yourself in independent matches or sign with a company right away. Take a vacation, let your body rest before you come back and you're like, yeah, I want to do it again. I want to take bumps. Take a vacation, have a very nice life, maybe find some love. I don't know, but take a vacation so that way the WWE stigma can wear off on you. And then when you come back, you can definitely like be completely recharged, re-energized, and that's what you want, right? You don't want somebody to just leave one company, jump to the next, and continue on the same journey, and then eventually get hurt, and then you're out. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then, or when after they get released from WWE, take your break, but there's New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's New Japan Strong. They would love to have you on their show. There's MOW. They have the open door policy now. They would love to have you on their show. There's Impact Wrestling. They would love to have you on your show. You know? There's a lot more stuff to do other than jumping to AEW. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that's what I would like, because when wrestlers jump from one place to another, it's just not going to end well, and it's going to definitely feel like they're doing the same things over and over, and they're not doing anything new at all. So like, I would have liked it if like Adam Cole would have like stayed a little bit, or like, when I say stay a little bit at home, because he's making pretty good money on Twitch. So like, I just don't really get it. The other thing too is that you know, he could have tried New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I know that's not like one of his strong suits. He could have at least you know, maybe threw his name in for like this year's G1. I don't know if he could join the Best of the Super Juniors, but imagine if Adam Cole was in Best of the Super Juniors, man. Like, that'd be cool. We could probably get Kyle O'Reilly in Best of the Super Juniors. We can. Um, but yeah, sometimes I just want these guys to like get rid of the the stigma of WWE before they come over to another company, because why are you doing almost the same thing that you did in NXT and AEW when AEW is supposed to be something new and fresh for the audience? And stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying that they can't mention, the past accomplishments of the Undisputed Era, but, for new fans, because the whole point is to have new fans come in and boost up your ratings. By doing the same thing that they saw in WWE, what's the point? You're not really making new fans. You're not. The fans that basically skip through channels if they still have cable. I mean, obviously they do, but I'm just saying in today's world where everything is almost digital, for the people that click through channels, you want to make sure you grab their attention. But if they just see that Adam Cole is in AEW, they might think that it's WWE. You never know. You never know who's flipping the channels and how much wrestling they know. So, it's like you want to be able to catch that viewer's attention, the one that's flipping through the channels. And AEW is not really doing that. The only time they did it was when they had Jay White on there. And then look, Jay White is terrorizing freaking Impact Wrestling with tag team matches, with leading his version of the Bullet Club. And then Jay White is also doing the Open Jay White USA tour. And then him fighting Speedball Mike Bailey, which is coming up during Dallas, during WrestleCon, basically, and then fighting Hikuleo at Mutiny, and then continuing on. He has yet to show up in AEW because AEW doesn't know how to create stories that stick. And this is why we have this Dynamite card, because, again, this Dynamite card was made today, was posted today. The same thing that WWE does. Again, do not give AEW a pass. Really, don't do it. You don't need to do it. If you're gonna call out one company for something, call out the other company for the same thing. So yeah. All right. What else do I have? Oh yeah, and by the way, the more times that AEW basically does random code matches like the ones you see on the screen, and the ones I talked about for those that are hearing on the audio side of stuff in the podcast world, how much longer can this go without it feeling stale, without it not making any more sense, without the fans not really being too excited about it? Like, how long can these cold matches go with no build up, no story? Because you guys got to remember, and I've said this multiple times, AEW is on TBS now. AEW is on cable. You should be producing a cable level show weekly that is the equivalent of, capturing the emotion and the heart of people who love to watch shows on HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, if Cinemax is still around, even the popular shows on like Netflix. Like, you have to capture that emotion and put it towards your product, and not have your product, meaning AEW, to just be an indie fest. It's an indie show, rather than a wrestling show. And while you're on TBS, you have to make money. You have to like make sure that your investors are happy. And if your investors are not like happy eventually, like, they could drop them at any moment. I don't know if any AEW fan thought of that, but at any moment, if TBS feels like this is not really going to be working out, for whatever reason, they could just drop them off of the network. And then what? I think in my head, the first thing that popped up is that AEW is probably going to have to rely on YouTube for the time being until someone gives them another contract. That's why, sometimes just going with the motion of making random code matches, throwing them to the wall to see what sticks is not always a good idea, because the ratings are definitely going to fluctuate. And this card is not going to have it be a million in ratings. Maybe it might because of the women's match, because it's a qualifier match and it's Owen Hart. So the name attached to it brings some type of value. But again, like, no one is really going to, what's the word? Like, no one's really going to invest if there's no story. Because you're going to have people, the same people that watch every week, tune in. So that's an automatic view. Oh, and also, it's also telling when Tony Khan is like, "Hey guys on the West Coast, make sure to tune in on to watch AEW Dark, so that way the numbers can increase." Do you know what happens when, like, a streamer like myself or like other people tend to do something like that? Like, you could think of it like, "Hey J-Rod, what's up?" You could tend to think of it like buying your followers, buying your bots to increase your views. I think personally that Tony shouldn't really be telling people like they should tune in. Like, yeah, you could promote it, but at the same time, like, if they tune in, they tune in. You just have to make a better card to where, people want to tune in every single week. That's what we were doing with WCW and WWF at the time. They were making cards, doing story where it makes sense, where everybody was tuning in every single week and they wanted to see what happens. But because we're in the age of the internet where you can, like, DVR stuff, you can try to go back and watch it. It'll be somewhere. So the urgency is not there. But then again, because AEW is so young, they still had to have that urgency and think outside the box of how to keep your attention without telling people on Twitter, "Hey, make sure you tune in. Hey, we have this random ass, good ass match that looks good on paper, but we're not sure if it's going to deliver. So make sure that you, come here and watch it." That's telling. You're supposed to reach your audience already, you know? All right. We are going to take a mini break because I don't want to talk in circles and I need to relax my voice. And I want to get up and walk around, fill up my cup up with water. Make sure you guys stay hydrated during this little mini break session. You guys will be listening to music. And then I think when we get back, we're going to be talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. No, J-Rod, I don't sound mad. I'm just frustrated with AEW. That's it. Like, this is my frustration voice. It's not even my anger voice, okay? My anger voice is something else. Excuse me. My anger voice is something else. Yes, hashtag blame J-Rod. That is what I'm gonna do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have Twitter, make sure to start the hashtag of blame J-Rod. I love J-Rod though, but yeah, that is what is going to happen. Let me see if an ad pops up or not. Oh, yeah, so we are definitely going to be continuing our podcast conversation here, and it's definitely going to be all about excuse me, give me a second. Yeah, and it's definitely going to be about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Uh, Basically, this matchup that you see here Um, like, man, there is such like a whirlwind of emotions, a whirlwind of story. Like, I totally get why Hikuleo decided to stay as Bullet Club, but he doesn't want nothing to do with Jay White, which is totally understandable. Jay White called him out on the last New Japan Strong tapings, and basically was like, "Yeah, he's the future and everything," but he also has to make a choice. And Hikuleo was like, okay, cool. I'm the future of professional wrestling. I'm the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling. But what's stopping me from taking over now, taking over Jay White's position? And this is where Jay White was like, yo, it takes years to get to where, he's at. And yeah, Jay is right. Jay is basically like, yeah, it's right that it takes years to get to where he's at. But now we have the open challenge where it was accepted that at Mutiny, April 10th, let me double check that because I want to say April. It is April 10th. Yeah, I was right. For some reason, I wanted to say April 9th, but it really wasn't like April 9th. But anyway, I don't know why he's doing that. So New Japan Pro Wrestling Mutiny comes to Vermont Hollywood, and basically we're gonna have Jay White versus Hikuleo. I said this in my previous podcast episode, or even just a live stream episode, that that story can go either way, and I'm super excited about the way that it can go. Like, imagine if, oh no, I said it on Smack Raw podcast. Imagine if Hikuleo wins against Jay White. Then what? What does Jay White do? Does Jay White have a backup plan? When they have their match, is Chris Bay gonna get involved? Because Chris Bay got involved of the backstabbing of God, and then that's about it. That's as far as it goes. Um so yeah, Jay White always has like a backup plan sometimes, most of the time. But he's always thinking one step ahead of like what happens if, this goes wrong. It's not all the time because he does underestimate David Finlay, his longtime rival. So he doesn't always have a plan. But in the event that Hikuleo beats Jay White, that is going to feel so good, even though it's not Tama beating Jay White. But because Hikuleo can, if he gets that victory, that's gonna definitely, put a lot more eyes on him. That's definitely gonna elevate him more. But we all know that the predictability will be that Jay White is gonna get the victory over Hikuleo, and then I think that's when Jay White is gonna kick him out. Because even though the stipulation is not there, we know it's gonna turn into that. It doesn't need to be said. It's one of those things where it's like, it's there without it being said. I just think that that's going to have Hikuleo kicked out by Jay winning. And then, it would be nice if they send Hikuleo over to, Japan. So that way, he could be with God and he could get those reps in and, probably find some other things to do, go against the members of Bullet Club. So during that time of New Japan Strong tapings where they were talking, Hikuleo did say that, he's Bullet Club for life, but he wants nothing to do with Jay White. So before all this happened, before, the backstabbing and everything, it was basically Hikuleo following Jay White around as like the student. And then obviously there was Chris Bay involved too, and Chris Bay and Hikuleo are fantastic tag teams, like tag team partners. They're very fantastic. They complement each other. They have a lot of innovative moves, and obviously when you're with Chris Bay, your team just becomes like finesse. That's what happens. Your team becomes finesse. So basically this match caught me off guard. Well, first of all, Hikuleo saying that he's still going to be repping Bullet Club caught me off guard. But he wants nothing to do with Jay, so I could sort of forgive that. Excuse me. Um, but to have this tag team match, man, they haven't tagged since the whole backstabbing went down. I don't know if I know I talked about it. I don't remember when I talked about it, but it feels like a couple months, probably more than a couple months. But yeah, so Chris Bay and Hikuleo haven't teamed since. And this is going to be kind of awkward because the Stray Dogs, they definitely have this energy and connection to get the job done because there's no backstabbing in their group. In Bullet Club, everything is sort of like, what the fuck is going on? What side are you on? And stuff like that. So, teaming with somebody that you had that energy with after everything is going to make this a little bit more complicated. Does Hikuleo, not really help Chris Bay? Does Hikuleo let Chris Bay take the reins and let him do most of the work, and then Hikuleo just watching from afar? Because Hikuleo needs to have eyes in the back of his head. In New Japan Strong, I don't think that they're going to sort of like screw over Hikuleo and Chris Bay, but like it can't happen. It can't happen where someone can come out and attack Hikuleo. Like we don't really know. This is like the cool part about it, where like nothing really gets spoiled, but like we could just think in kayfabe and think in story about the dynamic, especially if you know the previous weeks of what happened, and then leading up to this, you can make your own theories and suspicions and stuff like that. Or it could be that Chris Bay will have his chip on his shoulder because he is with Jay White, and Jay White is teaching him some stuff. And so he might tell Hikuleo to do most of the work. Imagine that. You're going to tell a 7-foot tall Tongan to do most of the work. Like, what? No. Whatever happens, I just think that this is the most interesting matchup that they can give us, because it's like, man, very, very interesting to see this come together. And you notice they put Bullet Club. They didn't even put Chris Bay and Hikuleo. In the previous New Japan Strong graphics, it would say Chris Bay and Hikuleo. It won't even say Bullet Club. Which now brings me to like my next thought, is that the branding is sort of weird when it comes to Bullet Club, because you know that they're part of Bullet Club. You know that. But like sometimes with like Jay coming out to like, he's Switchblade Jay White. He's Switch Jay White. Sometimes they'll throw in that he's the leader of the Bullet Club, right? Just to have that like association with him. But then again, all we kept saying is it's Switchblade Jay White, rather than trying to do a combination of like, oh, here comes the leader of the Bullet Club, Switchblade Jay White. You see, by putting, the leader of the Bullet Club in front of everything that we call Jay, it makes more sense. It tells you that he is, he's like the leader, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know in the chat. But yeah, it makes sense to me that The branding for Bullet Club seems to be a little weird, a little off, depending on what they do. This one here, this graphic, you could clearly see that it says Bullet Club. And so, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting match. This is happening sometime this week over in Dallas. I don't know what date this is probably going to be, but it's happening this week. I don't think it's happening today. And then we move on to April 10th, which is Mutiny. It's back here. Well, I can't say back here in the States because obviously Dallas is here too. So April 10th is Mutiny. That's going to be over in Vermont, Hollywood. Most likely that's California. And then from there, we're just going to sit and wait and see what else. I don't have any more like updates onto like why it's all of a sudden called Bullet Club. You know, I can't support Hikuleo's Patreon. If you guys didn't know, Hikuleo has a Patreon where he gives you behind the scenes access to a lot of things. And so yeah, I don't have that, so I can't really give you guys more info, but we could just go on kayfabe, right guys? Like we could just do kayfabe. So yeah. This is definitely going to be interesting. Now, I know that that segment was short because I don't really have much of anything to go by. Let me see something. We can definitely talk a little bit about Hyper Battle. So I should technically wrap up here New Japan Cup. We probably should do that. We probably should do that. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you are watching the stream by any chance, you guys can definitely leave your questions, your comments, anything that you want to do. Okay. Um, let's switch pictures to this one. Oh yeah, so you know what? I'm just gonna put this graphic up because I really, really, really love this graphic. This is the graphic I was talking about that come April 10th, it is going to be New Japan Pro Wrestling Mutiny. And this is like a first time ever. It's like what is happening universe, what is happening world about this. Super great, super awesome. Um it's Hikuleo versus Jay White. I would never thought this was gonna happen. Maybe eventually it would if Jay would ever leave Bullet Club and all that. But you know, this is a beautiful graphic, beautiful graphic. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to have that up there. Beautiful graphic. Let me get the picture that I'm looking for. Oh, I have the Hyper Battle picture too. Okay. So I don't really need to like go very far. Let's talk about the New Japan Cup. Let me just wrap it up on my Twitch channel because I wrapped it up on Smack the Rock Pod's Twitch channel. So, you know, let me officially wrap it up here because then, you know, I would have to go back to it. But yeah, other than that, just give me a second here. All right. So, as you know, on March 27th, New Japan Cup wrapped up the finals. It was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Naito. And surprisingly, Naito lost against Zack Sabre Jr., which is surprising. It's surprising to me. I was hoping that Ospreay would have came in and messed up the match only because Ospreay didn't tap when he fought Zack Sabre Jr. And so if he was that mad, like he should have came in, destroyed Zack Sabre Jr. and definitely you know, um, talk some more shit because he was doing that before. Um, and so I'm not so thrilled that Zack Sabre Jr. is our New Japan Cup winner. Just because, Zack comes off as a dickhead. Everyone says it, and I don't know if he's just playing a character or that's just really him, but he comes off as a dickhead, and then his attitude, I just can't really um get over it. I'd rather go hang out with Osprey over Zack Sabre Jr. That's just me. I'd rather go hang out with Osprey than Zack. Um, the other thing too is that you guys know, if you were here when I was doing the review for the New Japan Cup back at the beginning of March, and I was saying the reason why Tama needed it, and the story that could have happened from it, but no, it didn't fucking happen that way, right? So, again, sometimes I question, why do I go really in depth into New Japan Pro Wrestling when nothing turns out how I want it? All of my fantasy booking doesn't really happen. And I'm here what's the point? This is the second time that I tried booking the New Japan Cup and nobody wins. Nobody that I want wins, I should say. So yeah, so what's the point, man? But it was fun telling you guys the story as to why I want Tama to win, why I think it would have been a very great final battle between Tama and Fale, especially if I knew that Fale was gonna turn on Tama anyway and turn on family. So it just made sense. Story-wise, it made sense. And I really want baby faces to be strong and smart. I don't want baby faces to be fucking idiots. Just because, they're baby faces. Especially in a situation where yeah, I get it that Tama and Loa and Jado were all caught off guard when the whole attack happened and they really weren't expecting it. So for a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks, in their mind they're like, what the fuck happened? They have more questions than answers. And then fucking Bullet Club backstage comments are so fucking childish that they don't give answers. So it makes everything a little bit harder and everybody has to go a little bit more without answers. But yeah, I totally get that it was going to take them a couple of days to, get back to themselves. And I think now they're back to themselves after joining up with Hantai, or main units, as we're probably going to call them, and not just call them Hantai all the time. Because I know someone out there is going to make a hentai joke. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the hentai joke, guys. I really am. Just because it's Hantai. But if anything, we'll just say Tanahashi's group. That is what we're gonna do. Tanahashi's group. That has Master Wado and Taguchi. But yeah. So now that Tama and Loa and Jado found a little home, a very unsuspecting home, really, I guess we could say unsuspecting, or just even who knew, right? Who knew this was gonna happen? So yeah, now that they found a little home, and you can hear it in Tama's voice, the last backstage comments that Tama did, where Tama basically explained that he knows all the Bullet Club tactics. He was Bullet Club at one point. So was T, who's Loa. I believe he wants people to start calling him T. Maybe. I don't know. But Tama knows all these things. And I was saying this before, that even on Twitter I was saying this, and on my podcast I was saying this. I was saying that Tama knows everyone's weakness. Tama is the most dangerous wrestler there is, and kicking him out of the Bullet Club was a really bad decision, because now he knows how to get to people. He knows how to, anticipate the Bullet Club tactics. The only difference, well, I can't say difference. The only thing is that he has to have eyes in the back of his head. He has to be thinking probably now 10 steps ahead of the other guys, rather than like 5, rather than like 3 or 4 or whatever. But Tama has to go into it in a tactical pursuit. And you know what? If I'm not going to be talking about Zach until a little bit longer, I'm going to be talking about Tama in the group. So Zach, get out of here. I don't have the one with Tanahashi yet. It's in my folders, but Tama just needs to, Tama and Loa need to attack this in a very strategic way, where they catch Bullet Club off guard, and Jado helping, and realizing what he needs to do and get Gato away and just divide the numbers. We all know from the very beginning that Bullet Club is very strong when it comes to numbers. Now that Tama is growing his numbers by siding with Tana, Taguchi, and Master Wado, he could basically do it. But again, they're probably going to play up the whole babyface versus heel shit. But I'm excited to see where it goes. Tama is now, getting back into the mindset of he has to take them out no matter what. Everyone is going to fucking pay no matter what. It's just a matter of how to maneuver your ideas, your strategies, in order for Bullet Club to be off guard. Because most likely, like, you would think that this would just cancel each other out because everyone is Bullet Club and everyone knows the tactics. But sometimes when you're on the outside looking in, your perspective changes. You think outside the box. You don't necessarily are grounded to that Bullet Club mentality now that you're outside the club. And I just want nothing but the best for this storyline to pick up, this storyline to really, be the best thing that it can be and be amazing. Because this storyline has definitely got me back into what the Square Circle podcast was all about. And that's breaking down these stories for you guys to understand it and appreciate it more. And then we could always do conspiracy theories. We could always talk about the what ifs and everything like that. So that's why I really enjoy this whole entire story and how it's coming together and everything like that. There's nothing new to really report on this Bullet Club drama story. There's really nothing for me to report. So let's go back to Zach. So I noticed something about Zack Sabre Jr. when he wrestles, right? So when he was facing Shingo Takagi, and Zack Sabre Jr. was on Shingo Takagi's back, giving him a sleeper hold. So Shingo Takagi decided to go up to the second rope, and then decide to fall back, and Zack let go of his choke onto Shingo. However, Zack Sabre Jr. automatically reapplied the hold without selling the shockwave that his body would have received once that impact would have happened. And I'm just like, yo, that's not cool. I get that sometimes wrestlers have that warrior instinct, that lion's instinct, and just that wrestler's instinct to continue going through pain. But you are technically, absorbing that shock, and Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't have that much muscle mass on him to just really absorb everything and continue to reapply the hold. So I thought that, losing to Shingo was not a good idea. That was like, oh man. And then he did the same thing with Naito. The same thing where he absorbed some shock and stuff like that and still reapply a hole or something or whatever it was. But it was something to the same effect that he did with Shingo. And I just don't believe that he can do that because, again, he doesn't have that much muscle mass in order to just absorb the shock and then that's it. I always ask this question about like, why is it that Zach proudly proclaims that he's a vegan? And when he gets his ass kicked, he's always the one crawling on his hands and knees to go to the back. But his opponent can definitely walk out on their own 2 feet and be okay. Like, why is that? I don't get it. Don't get me wrong. Zack Sabre Jr. is fantastic in the ring. I respect his in-ring ability. I just don't respect the way he goes about certain things, the tiny little things that he can definitely fix and whatnot. But, he's 100% vegan, so he's not really going to listen to me. So, yeah, that's as much as I'm going to go with Zack Sabre Jr. If he does take the belt off of Okada, I don't know how I feel about that. But then again, I don't mind if the belt changes hands. I just need Ospreay to come in and like beat the shit out of him. That's all I need. I need Ospreay to come in, beat the shit out of him, and that's about it. But yeah. Let's move on to Hyper Battle. So after the New Japan Cup, our next sort of mini tour is called Hyper Battle. I don't know why they named it Hyper Battle. They could have did Power Struggle. They could have did something else. This just gives a break in between New Japan Cup and Best of the Super Juniors. Best of the Super Juniors is definitely happening March 14th, which is going to showcase the juniors. Hopefully we could get some like really good names into it, rather than just the Japanese guys. But anyway, let's talk about Hyper Battle. This is night 2 of Hyper Battle. Night 1 has like warm-up matches, basically warm-up multi-man matches. But night 2 has like the belts and other things for contendership. Let me bring you guys up to speed about like the stories and like where we're heading. So talking about Zack Sabre Jr., Zack Sabre Jr. gets his title shot at Hyper Battle. Hyper Battle starts April 9th, so that's when New Japan picks up. Right now, they just have like a week off to recuperate and everything. Everybody fought like really hard battles. Or they might be doing some house shows that are not announced and will not be shown because their TV crew for TV Asia, I know I should say it right, but the TV crew of New Japan Pro Wrestling of Bushido Road does not travel outside certain districts and places, so they do not record really those things, those shows, which is sucky. It really is. It's sucky. So yeah, let's talk about Hyper Battle. Again, Zack Sabre Jr. has his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship title match against Okada, who is our reigning IWGP champion. This basically, I honestly hope that Okada retains. I honestly hope that Ospreay comes in and ruins this match. You know, if Zack Sabre Jr. gets the belt, cool. That's awesome. I still want Ospreay to come in and chase the belt for right now. But do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Tama has his win over Okada during the G1. So whenever this happens, Tama is next in line for that for that championship title. So that's why I want Okada to still remain champion. And yes, I know Naito beat Okada during the New Japan Cup, which is unheard of. So Okada does have his title opportunity as well. So New Japan Pro Wrestling, if you are listening to me, please make it a triple threat match where it is Okada versus Naito versus Tama for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship title match. Make it a triple threat. You guys don't really do triple threat matches as much, so just make it a triple threat. Whoever wins, wins, and I would love to see it. Again, let's put that IWGP World Heavyweight Championship title on the line where we have Okada taking on Naito, taking on Tama Tonga. People will pay to see that, you know? People will pay to see that. Moving over to the other side, we have our IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match of El Desperado taking on Show. If I'm going to be honest, House of Torture needs to get the boot out of Bullet Club because it makes no sense to have House of Torture inside Bullet Club. It really doesn't. Evil does what he wants anyway, so why the fuck is he there in Bullet Club? It makes no sense. It's probably there just to increase numbers and just to increase Bullet Club stock. But so far, having Show in Bullet Club, yo, he is so adorable that when he cheats, I don't get upset. Whenever Evil and Dick Togo cheats, I'm like, why the fuck are they cheating? Like, do we really need this? No, we don't really need it, dude. Like, you know, just stop for a second. But other than that, like, whenever Show cheats, it's so adorable. So I can't take him seriously. And Show is so good in the ring too that it's just like, bro, I can't go against you, you know? I really can't go against him. El Desperado is definitely a fantastic wrestler. Like, I love watching him wrestle. I love hearing him talk Japanese because it just sounds so smooth and, like, at some point sexy. So, you know, it's really nice to hear him talk Japanese. As far as this match coming together, right? This is what happened. For the longest, Show has been coming out to El Desperado's matches and really, like, fucking him up. The same way that I want Ospreay to fuck up Zack Sabre Jr. is the same way that Show has been going after El Desperado for the past couple of weeks, maybe a month now, and has really been like, hey, I want a title shot. I want a title shot. So he's just attacking him and letting him know, I want a title shot. Finally, El Desperado is like, yo, this can't keep happening where people attack him for wanting something and, you know, eventually end up getting it. Like, that's not how it's supposed to go, but it was kind of entertaining. It was kind of interesting. It's like, all right, cool. Here's Show. Show is coming out to attack El Desperado, and we're going to see what happens. So management finally put this match together, and this is how we came to it. Show just kept attacking El Desperado and got what he wanted, because that's what Bullet Club does. Bullet Club beats people down until they basically surrender, give up, and give in to their demands. Show's demand, Show's demand was El Desperado, I want that championship title match. That's all it was. As for who I want to win, as much as I love watching El Desperado and support him, I would like Show to win the championship belt. And by the way, it is for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship belt. I should say title rather than belt. Now, the next match is a tag team match. This is Goto and Yoshihashi. They are the IWGP World Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. They are taking on the team of Jeff Cobb and the Great Khan of the United Empire. And again, the same story that granted Show his title shot is the same way that they granted it for the United Empire versus Chaos. Goto and Yoshihashi are Chaos members, so remember that. So yeah, after the New Japan Cup on the 27th, Jeff Cobb and the Great Khan basically just beat down Yoshihashi and Goto. Bam, they got the championship title match. And I think this is sort of like compensation for, you know, having Will get out of the New Japan Cup and him being frustrated. And all of us fans being frustrated that the United Empire gets this wonderful momentum. But then all of a sudden, it's like they fucking lose when the momentum is getting good. The United Empire is such a dominant force in New Japan Pro Wrestling that I don't know why they don't want to pull the trigger again. They gave Ospreay the belt. Ospreay was great with it because when you give him something, he fucking delivers. When you give Jeff Cobb the spotlight they gave him in the G1, he delivers. When you give the Great Khan the spotlight in the G1, he delivers. The same thing with Aaron Henare. When you give Aaron Henare the spotlight, he fucking delivers. And it's like New Japan, the United Empire delivers. TJP is part of the United Empire, and he delivers as well. And then the Aussie tag team that I know nothing about. Obviously, if Ospreay sees something in them, then I guess they deliver. But I really don't know much about the Aussie team that he has. Other than that, like every single person of the United Empire basically delivers, but yet then they don't, you know, they stop their momentum, and I hate that shit. Who I want to win in this match? Obviously, I want Jeff Cobb and the Great Khan to win in this match, but we know that's probably not going to happen. Yoshihashi and Goto sort of just got those IWGP World Heavyweight Championship titles. So most likely the office is going to keep them on Chaos. And then the United Empire is going to have to, you know, do some more weeks, do some more tours about, getting their momentum back up there. Now we come to one of my favorite matches, and I'm so happy this match is happening. It is Evil versus Hiromu for that never openweight championship title. Here is my problem with Evil being a fucking double champion. Yes, you heard me right. Evil is a double champion. Evil not only holds that never openweight championship title that you see on his shoulder, but he is also the never openweight 6-man tag team championship champion as well. Which it's him, Show, and Yujiro. Those three are the 6-man never openweight champions. And they really haven't done much with it. And I was really thinking that, it would be great storytelling if Tama, T, and Jado take those 6-man titles off of House of Torture. And that would be just a ego blow to Bullet Club and House of Torture. And maybe Jay would get upset and then we get more story and then that'd be great. But is New Japan listening to me? Maybe they are. I don't know. But I would definitely like that to happen because then that works for story. It makes sense with story, but that's not happening right now. But I really hope that Hiromu takes the never championship title off of Evil. Another thing I don't like is that long ago, because Jay is staying over here in the United States, Jay had the never openweight championship title and they should have left it on him. So that way when he does these tours of the open challenge, it would be so much better. It would be so much, you know, better to watch his matches. I'm not saying that his open challenge matches are bad or anything. Like, Jay puts on a hella performance, and he does not really give you a bad match. Like, his matches are top tier fucking quality matches. But imagine with the championship title at stake, because then you're trying to wonder who's going to take that championship off of him. He fought Ishii. That was one-sided. They love putting Ishii versus Jay White all the fucking time, and I'm like, yo, I don't really want to see that all the time. But they put them together, and Jay lost the title at, it wasn't Resurgence. It was the one after Resurgence that he lost it at. And so, yeah, he lost the title, went to Ishii. Ishii lost it to Evil, and here we are. We're here with Evil versus Hiromu. The only reason why this is happening is because Hiromu beat Evil at the New Japan Cup with Evil's finisher, Everything is Evil, which is amazing. And then on the 27th, the last day of the New Japan Cup, there was a tag team match. No, hold on. Before that. Oh, no. I'm getting my stories mixed up. Because I know that there was another multi-man match where Hiromu decided to do, again, Everything's Evil to Dick Togo while Evil was in the corner watching it. The only reason why I'm getting the stories mixed up, because I know that Bushi and like Hiromu came out for a tag match, but Ospreay and Hinari also came out, but Ospreay grabbed the mic and started talking shit and was like, yo, we're not doing this tag match, that he's boycotting it, it's canceled. But then here comes Hiromu with a running dropkick to Ospreay, and then the match began, and yeah, I'm mixing everything up. But again, the reason why this is happening is because Hiromu got the victory over Evil in the New Japan Cup by beating Evil with his finisher, Everything is Evil. I really want Hiromu to take the championship title off of Evil. I really, really do. So yeah, let's see. The next one, man. Okay, so as you guys know, I have to get in my one fuck Yano saying, just because. This match of Yano versus Taichi is for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy. Again, it's not even for a fucking title, but oh well, it's Hyper Battle. It's okay. So how we got here is, ever since Taichi was eliminated from the New Japan Cup, Taichi has been teaming with Yoshinobu of Suzuki-gun, and basically they've been having tag team matches, and Yano has been in every single tag team match. Yano has been having different partners throughout those tag team matches, and Yano thinks it's funny to try to get the one up on Taichi by removing Taichi's pants. So for those of you that have never seen Taichi before, he's basically the Holy Emperor of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you could think of him like a K-pop, J-pop idol. He comes out in the whole entire gimmick, as you see there, and he has rip away pants. And the only time that he like rips them away is when it's getting down to the final moments of, like, you know, trying to get the victory of the match. So basically, Yano thinks it's smart to rip them off ahead of time and try to get Taichi like unbalanced and out of character. And it has worked a couple of times. I think it has, but this is where we're at. Yano is basically making fun of Taichi doing sumo wrestling sometimes in the matches. So Taichi got fed up, and this is the match that we're going to be having at Hyper Battle. At Hyper Battle, excuse me. So yeah, that's how we got there. And then we have a tag team match. This is for the IWGP Junior heavyweight tag team titles. The team of Taguchi and Master Wato, who's part of Main Unit and Hontai with Tanahashi, their tag team name is 6 or 9. It's a Tai Chi thing. No, it's not a Tai Chi thing. I'm so sorry. It's a Taguchi thing. They are taking on the former IWGP Junior Heavyweight champions, which is Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo. The only reason why this is happening now is because the same process. Taiji and El Phantasmo have been attacking Taguchi and Master Wato for the past couple of months. Even when Taguchi and Master Wato came in for the save for the Gorillas of Destiny and Jado. So yeah, same thing. Kept beating them up, and eventually they got their title shot. Also, there was an original match anyway between these two teams and Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles at the time, and El Phantasmo was then exposed by having a metal plate in his boot because whenever he does sudden death, which is a super kick, but it knocks you out completely. Once that got exposed, he was having doubts about if he could ever do a super kick. So most of the members in Bullet Club had to pick up the slack for him. And so now, after kicking out Tama and T and Jado, he somehow miraculously got over that. Which, by the way, no one has been telling the story about it. And I'm like, why is no one, talking about this? So yeah, I don't fucking get it. Anyway, other than that, we're here now because of Taiji El Phantasmo implementing Bullet Club tactics to get what they want. So we are here, and what I would like is Taguchi and Master Wato to retain the titles. I do not want Bullet Club to have the titles. Taguchi and Master Wato just got it, and they're doing a phenomenal job as a tag team anyway. So yeah. That's my preview to New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hyper Battle. So I don't think I have anything else to cover. Nothing interesting is showing up on my Twitter timeline, so that way I could talk about it. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to be talking about WrestleMania, so you can save your breath for that. But I will say that I will be taking another short break. When I come back, we are just going to be watching some wrestling matches, some random wrestling matches. So yeah, that's going to be fantastic. So yeah, for anyone watching live in the chat, again, if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, just drop them in the chat and I will read them and everything. But that's my analysis on AEW Dynamite, and that Dynamite basically can't continue to throw shit at the wall and think that they're going to get good ratings and just think that everything's going to be okay. Eventually, this is going to backfire on them. We talked about New Japan Pro Wrestling. We talked about New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, Lone Star, which is happening sometime this week, of Dallas. And then New Japan Strong Mutiny, and trying to get you guys up to date with all the Bullet Club GOD nonsense that's going on here and also in Japan. And then spoke a little bit about Hyper Battle. But again, I will be taking a quick break. When I come back, we are watching professional wrestling matches. So make sure to tell a friend and be here when I get back. You guys are definitely going to be listening to some music in the meantime. But yeah, let's take that quick break. Let's have that stretch break, and I'll be right back.
cage of shit. No, I don't want to be clean, I don't want to be seen, I'm just waiting for some.
If you're gonna talk that talk, then you better walk that walk. If you're gonna talk that